Good day! Thanks for joining us here today, again, to discuss another TWAB. We did skip over the beginning, and that's okay, it's just giving us a recap of all the prior news releases that Bungie has given us over the course of the week. The last thing being the trials and the security updates. Go check those out if you haven't seen them, they got a ton of great information. But we're going straight into the meat of this TWAB. As they said, it's probably going to be the last meaty TWAB we're going to see for some time. And it's all about the Void rework that we're going to be seeing starting in the Witch Queen. Starting with the next full release, Witch Queen, going live, I believe February 22nd is what they have it slated for. We're going to be getting reworks of the light-based subclasses. Now we're starting with Void, and then we'll get Solar and Arc as the other seasons drop. And from what it sounds like, that's going to set the stage for everything being coherent with what we currently have in the Destiny universe when it comes to our abilities. That will pave the way for them to bring even more damage archetypes in the future. So maybe with Lightfall, and then maybe with the final shape, we might see 1 and or 2 new damage types, something to contest stasis in that top slot. You know, a lot of people thinking about some sort of thorn damage type, corrosive, any of that good stuff. So hopefully those will come in the near future, but next year is going to be all about getting the light reworks that they so sorely need. So let's get right into it. Starting in the Witch Queen, we will be aiming to give the light classes the stasis treatment season over season, bringing more customization to Guardians and new ways to engage with their abilities. While the team is still deep in development, Kevin Yanes and Samuel Dunn are joining us to walk us through their goals for abilities and what the upcoming rework will bring to the table. Alright, Kevin. Hey everyone, Kevin from the Abilities team here to share some sweet details about what's coming next. By the time this gets posted, I'll assume you have all had the opportunity to see what's cooking here in the Bungie digital kitchens. The world, the characters, and story are all moving forward, and things are changing big time. Destiny 2 is evolving, and that means the sandbox needs to evolve with it. Previously, I'd laid out a roadmap of changes that got us to Season 15 with some vague hints about the future. Now that we're here, I wanted to plant more flags in the ground about where we're going next. We're digging right in that Void Subclass. That's the biggest thing. Where are we going next with our light? Throughout Tuesday's reveal, we watched as you all reacted to the Witch Queen, Season of the Lost, and the 30th anniversary. Part of those reactions were on subjects like the subclasses and stasis aspects and fragments. I feel that before we move forward, we should rip a few bandages off. There will be no Darkness subclass in the Witch Queen or through Year 5. So Year 5 will be entirely focused on the updates to our light subclasses. We've made the call ourselves to refocus on the light subclasses this year, and you'll see below this doesn't just mean a port, but also new and exciting stuff too. It's interesting. I haven't read this yet, so I'm as fresh as anybody. There's no new stasis aspects and fragments arriving along Season of the Lost. That's fine, we have so many, I can't keep track of them. Similar to above, we wanted to focus on different initiatives instead of adding more to stasis. We feel like the subclass build variety is in a good spot and was likely to benefit from tuning changes more than new stuff. To that end, we prioritize Season of the Lost balance patch and another patch you'll hear about below, debuting with the 30th anniversary. That's great stuff. We already know stasis is far and away the most customizable thing we've ever had to play with in Destiny, and each season we have gotten a new aspect, fragment, all that good stuff, but I feel like every time it has led to a little bit of turmoil in the community discourse where something ggets patched. It's sort of like the issues that we faced in Destiny 1, where every time it got to a good spot, something else would come out or more so Destiny 1 to Destiny 2, sorry. The game got to this point where all the little minor changes that needed to be made were finally there for the end of Destiny 1, and then Destiny 2 came out, and it felt like there was a total disconnect. Like, how did we go backwards so far? And so that was sort of happening with the stasis aspects and fragments. We would get something patched that was performing well and above what anything else in the game was, and then a new fragment or aspect would come out that totally undid that work and just kept pushing the pain point of stasis for the community. So yeah, I think great. It's got so much. It's got more than enough. Let's focus more on the game. I love this direction. We'll see what they have in store later this season. Combat Reforged. Today you're going to read a quick tease on the feature we're calling Void 3, a new interpretation of the Void subclass in fantasies. In the coming weeks, you'll hear about changes we're making to how players regenerate ability energy and how those changes are going to affect PvE and PvP with our 30th anniversary release. Okay, so that means we're going to be waiting until December to get our next big patch. That feels like a little bit, but that is still right halfway, because it's a 6-month season, pretty much, so it's pretty well on point to being halfway through. It just feels like a long time. A few examples of changes in the pipe: a reduction on how many one-shot kill abilities are available in the Crucible, and shifting super energy regeneration so players are rewarded for participating in combat versus waiting for a timer. Later in Year 5, we hope to share more info on an initiative the team is discussing internally right now, making ammo generation a more deterministic and consistently paced experience across all activities. I hope what I'm describing here paints a clear picture. The game is evolving for the better. Okay, I like that. Ammo generation, a more deterministic and consistent paced experience. You know what's a very deterministic and consistent paced ammo regeneration situation? Icebreaker. Okay? Bring me back Icebreaker, make it stasis, put it in the top frickin' slot. That's deterministic and consistent. I mean, you're speaking my language, Kevin. Let's go. Bring us back my baby, the Icebreaker. Oh, please. And what else? So I think I missed something. The one-shot abilities in the Crucible, there are a ton of that. And getting players moving to get your super in PvP rather than just sitting in a corner waiting for the timer to go by. We already saw a few changes on that with the Trials update that they showed us. That's going to include like 90-second rounds instead of 120-second rounds. So that's already cutting on your ability to just push supers over and over and over, round after round. And we've also gotten huge nerfs to Chaos Reach and Geomags, so I feel like already a lot of that is cut down, but to see it go even further, like there were brief discussions about even totally removing some sort of passive super gen. Like that's not confirmed, there were just like notions of it and passings of it, so we'll see if that comes to fruition. That's cool. I do worry about that sort of snowball effect that it could lead to, but we'll see what they have in store and how it plays out. Destiny 2 is a living game. And as we head into our 5th year, we're looking at how we can evolve the sandbox you know and love, not only creating exciting new experiences, but to better polish ones you haven't had much love. Better polish ones that haven't had much love since our launch in 2017. Whoo! That's looking back. We've learned a lot over the years with each iteration of the sandbox, and we're hoping to apply those learnings through Year 5 and beyond. I hope you're all as excited about the future as I am. Well, with the Witch Queen reveal that we just saw, I'm sure everybody is feeling pretty excited, and we're hoping for that big booming delivery. A Brave New World. As you saw in our reveal event, we're going to be doing serious revamps to the existing light subclasses in Destiny 2. Our Void, Solar, and Arc subclasses and damage types have been with Destiny from the very beginning. In fact, some of our player fantasies and mechanics in Destiny 2 today are the same that debuted in Destiny 1 back in 2014. And while we've had refreshes in 2017 and 2018 with Destiny 2 and Forsaken, these subclasses have in some cases been left behind by the new power bar and build crafting goals of the endgame. To solve that problem, we're going to take these subclasses back to the shop to retrofit, remix, and reinterpret the gameplay fantasies and mechanics by integrating them into the modern subclass experience. And as you can see just with this splash screen alone, that means the modern subclass experience is the one built by Stasis. That is the thoroughly customizable future we're going to. You can look back at Destiny 1 and say, I miss having the ability to customize my subclass like Destiny 1. Well, the Stasis version of that, I feel, goes so much further, so much more creativity and customizability. It's great. This is going to be such a fantastic experience for those who love the light subclasses and have been waiting many years now for big changes. In Destiny 2 Beyond Light, we introduced a new subclass system we dubbed eternally as Subclass 3. The goals of Subclass 3 were to create an experience that gave players more customization akin to Destiny 1, while also meaningfully evolving that experience. To us, Destiny is best when build crafting, best-in-class action, and power fantasies all meet to create gameplay experiences you can't get anywhere else, and will likely stay that way. I'm sure many of you have tried to go play another first-person shooter, and unless it's like the absolute cream of the crop, and that doesn't necessarily mean the game is good, that just means like the most money and development that can go possibly into a first-person shooter to make it feel good, it still just barely holds a candle to how Destiny feels. And anything of any lower budget, and I know that sounds shallow, but people say, oh, go play Splitgate. I've played lots of like more independent FPS games, and every single time I do, something just feels so much worse compared to how Destiny feels. Nothing has been able to meet that formula. Just the process of moving and shooting has never been so smooth as it is in Destiny. So we already have the groundwork for masterpiece. Let's keep working on it. Staring out into the void. We're not starting out. We started out in 2014. Now we're looking forward. With Void 3, we're taking the subclasses you know and love and remixing them. That means adding new abilities and mechanics, ditching some old ones where it makes sense to do so, and spreading out existing ones to create enticing new combinations. Our hope is to retain playstyles you know and love today, and to create some exciting new ones you didn't even know you wanted. We can't wait to see what you think of all these changes, and as always, we're going to be looking for and responding to feedback. With that said and done, I'm going to bow out and let the team do the talking. And we did have a brief mention on Twitter from Kevin Yanes. Nova Warp, they have no plans of removing it. So we'll see that obviously come. I think we'll see that mentioned in this TWAB, but when they were originally talking about subclass identities, there was notions of, Nova Warp might not really be the proper fantasy for the Void subclass for Warlocks. And that got a lot of Nova Warp mains scared for the future. So we'll see if they actually talk about this here down below. Sam, hey, howdy everyone. I'm Sam Dunn, ability designer on the Sandbox team. I'm here to dive into a little more detail about what you can expect from Void 3. A new shape. Ooh. As Kevin detailed above, we're in the process of updating Void, Solar, and Arc subclasses to the new 3.0 system used by Stasis, where you can pick and choose from a selection of supers, grenades, melees, and aspects of fragments to craft cool and unique builds tailored around your playstyle. In the Witch Queen, you'll experience the first phase of this metamorphosis as you wield the powers of the Void in your fight against Savathûn and her Lucent Brood. It's important to reiterate that this update will change things. Destiny 2 has evolved significantly in the 3 years since Forsaken, and we believe that the light subclasses need a shake-up to keep pace. Much of the Void gameplay that you know and love will continue to exist, albeit in a different form. A few things won't be returning, and there are some exciting new additions we think you'll have a blast with. To paint the picture of how we're approaching Void 3 rework, here are our main goals. Preserve the strong existing power fantasies of Void. We want to focus on what makes the damage type fun to use and give it a cohesive identity that can be felt throughout your subclass, while also adding sweet new toys that feel like a natural extension of your Void powers. Provide new and exciting build crafting possibilities through the combination of aspects and fragments. We want you to not only be able to craft similar playstyles to the old subclass diamonds using the new system, but also explore a bunch of new ways that your Void abilities can work together with your armor and weapons. Set up a framework for the systemic integration of damage type into the rest of the game, We believe that Stasis was very successful in providing a set of shared combat behaviors, or verbs, that can interact with each other and with other elements in the game. With Void, we want to double down on this effort and reorganize the subclass in a similar way. We're planning to continue this with the Solar and Arc going forward. So they've been doing that a lot now, sort of painting the picture, which is that it's been fantastic to get those pictures painted for weapons, especially when you're like, oh man, LMGs feel garbage because I can't use them on Atheon or certain situations like that. And then they come out and say, well, here is where we think LMGs belong, and that is their primary focus is competent ad clearing with a secondary purpose as single target damage. So it helps us set our expectations and keep them in line with the developer expectations, and that's huge because far and away the community can get their expectations way out of line. Say the key word. All right. With the Void 3 update, we're defining a set of core keywords that will be used by the various perks and abilities within each Void subclass, akin to the slow, freeze, and shatter verbs used by Stasis. I'm sure you all know them maybe a little more well than you'd like to by now. Each class will specialize in a few of these verbs, but it will be possible to dabble in the rest by coordinating with your fire team or with certain combinations of abilities and fragments. Additionally, these verbs will appear in other places outside of the subclass screen: weapon perks, exotic armor, and mods from your seasonal artifact. And we intend to continue expanding that list as we move forward. We believe that these systemic interactions between your abilities and your gear are the core of the Destiny build crafting game. And we are starting to see that now with Stasis as well. We now have Stasis for armor. You can select Solar, Void, or Arc armor, but now you have Stasis armor, and there are mods that go along with that. And we also have Stasis perks coming out, like Tombstone that we saw this season. So they're going to be sort of Void-specific perks coming in the future, which is cool. Will that be focused on just guns that roll with Void element, or will, I assume that that's how it would have to work, and that would add a real uniqueness to guns just for having a certain elemental affinity in the first place. Additionally, we read that. All right. And we see some icons here of what we'll expect to see a little bit more of. What's that shield? Some resistance? All right. Within Void, there are 3 negative status effects that you'll be applying to enemies. Here's the big one right off the bat: Suppression. All right. The target is knocked out of any active abilities and can't activate any abilities' movement modes as long as the suppression persists. Afflicted enemy AI combatants can't shoot their weapons. Now you'll see that even if you have a suppression grenade or a concussion grenade launcher, they'll sort of... it has the exact same effect as blind, really, where they just sort of cower, they have an aura above their head, and they're just like, what the fuck hit me? Suppression, and I'm sure many people have always felt, I've heard this conversation happen before, Void feels like it should have suppression. We got it on the Titan, we've got it on the suppression grenades. Get that everywhere. Get that on all the Void abilities. Like, suppression is just right for Void. So I'm glad to see it being sort of a core feature. And if you really hate Stasis abilities, maybe you're going to want to focus on Void abilities to tell those Stasis users to piss right off. Sorry, you can't do anything, because I've got you suppressed. Weaken. The target takes increased damage and has their movement slowed. Enemy AI combatants fire their weapons with decreased accuracy. It's the Splicer Gauntlet of the elemental abilities. So they take increased damage. We've seen sort of debuffs like that before, and has their movement slowed. So I wonder if you were to weaken a combatant in PvP, if that would mean they either can't sprint or their sprint has like significantly reduced speed, because we know mobility doesn't affect sprint speed. So I was about to say, oh, maybe it would be like having their mobility at 0, but they'd still be able to sprint at normal speed, so they wouldn't actually be going terribly slow, but that would greatly affect their ability to strafe within a 1v1. They'd be really just like, oh shit, oh fuck, I died. And volatile. All right, this is a new verb. We haven't heard, I don't think we've heard this in the game before. I could be wrong. The target is afflicted with unstable void energy and will explode upon taking additional damage or on death. So we have seen that before. We do see that on the middle tree of the Void Titan. I'm just not certain if it was given a name like volatile. They were sort of these like void, what were they called, magnets or something? I don't know. Sorry, I've got the verbiage not on the top of my head right now. But you'd punch an enemy, they'd have a little glowing purple ball on them, and if you shot them more, those would erupt, spread to more things, and if those things took damage, the orbs that were on them would erupt, and it would just have a huge ripple effect. Go with your middle tree Void Titan and go to the wish wall and punch it or throw a grenade at it, and you will create a non-stop explosion circus, just a feast for the eyes. You'll see what I'm talking about. And 3 positive effects that you'll be applying to yourself and allies. Oh yeah, and then there was another thing. The target takes increased damage. I wonder if those are going to actually stack with things like high energy fire, with things like divinity. Are we going to be allowed to go beyond like 1 buff, 1 debuff, and then some small like quirky things that get some exceptions, or will it just flat out be on top of everything else? Because yeah, it is technically probably better for the bosses in the game to not be able to get nuked by stacking like 5 buffs and 5 debuffs on a single target. But it's fun. It's fun build crafting that deep, and I wouldn't mind if they tried to strike some balance to allow that, while not allowing it to get to the point of, like we're kind of seeing now, it's not the same thing, obviously, with the single hammer, two hammers, Atheon kills solo. That's due to a glitch, don't worry about that. I don't know if it'll get fixed, we'll see. So the 3 positive effects that you'll be applying to yourselves and allies: Void Overshield, a protective barrier of void light which reduces damage taken from combatants. Does that mean you will also take reduced damage when that Void Overshield is applied, or is it just the fact that you technically have more health? So if you were to go from the full shield all the way to 0, like the math would mean like you were technically taking reduced damage, or is the shield stronger? Because we do see that with the Behemoth Titan, the stasis crystals that you can collect to gain overshield, they do reduce the damage you take a little bit, but I don't know if other overshields do, like say One-Eyed Mask. I don't have that knowledge on the top of my head. It might, but I don't know. Invisibility, and that's important to state because we need to maintain invisibility for the Hunter. The Hunter fantasy Void, it's all about invisibility. So you vanish from sight and you don't appear on enemy radar. Perfect. Oh yeah, no, okay, so the Overshield is a Titan focus, invisibility is a Hunter focus, and our tried and true Devour is our Warlock. So I guess that means Suppression. So if you look at the top ones, I'm assuming, like I could be wrong, but Suppression's going to be more focused to Titans where it already is. Weaken's going to be more focused to Hunters. Volatile's going to be more. We'll see. We have no idea. I'm just totally just like theory crafting how these are going to work in my head, or every class is going to have everything. Can you imagine invisible Titans running around from their own abilities? That's interesting. Not just Rat King anymore, Titans. Is your time coming? Devour, you feast on the energy of your foes. Kills restore you to full health, grant grenade energy, and extend Devour. Devour's so good. These verbs should all be familiar to veteran players, but now exist in a new, broader systemic framework that will allow us to consistently spread their behaviors across the game, where previously they existed in their own siloed off subclasses. Oh my god, so it is spreading. Oh my god! Invisible Titans! Ah! Old dog, new tricks. To close this section out, here's a preview of some of the new and updated abilities that you'll be able to play with once Void 3 drops. I can already dodge. What are you talking about? We can already dodge. There's nothing new here. 3.0? It's a joke. Alright. The Night Stalker Hunter. Shadow Shot, Mobius Quiver, Super. Okay, so it'll just be reduced to the Shadow Shot, Mobius Quiver, Super? Mobius Quiver already kind of sucks, so... I mean, I guess it's okay, but it feels like the worst. Fire 2 volleys of 3 void arrows in a cone, which seek out enemies and spawn void anchors on impact. Shadow Shot makes tethered enemies volatile and deals increased damage to tethered targets. And you might already see that volatility. If you are top tree void Night Stalker right now, and you tether like 3 things and you kill one, they're gonna erupt and everything's gonna get launched in 7 different directions. I like the volatile on it. I just hope they're gonna make sure enemies stay where they're tethered to and not go airborne and take a full round trip across the globe. But 2 volleys of 3 void arrows, that's cool. Firing a little cone, imagine if they were spiraling coming at you. That's cool. That sounds cool. One of the main usability pain points of the current iteration of Mobius Quiver is having to press the super input a whole bunch of times to fire each arrow individually, which is cumbersome and takes a lot of time, and often results in the player drifting somewhere they didn't intend to be, like off the side of a cliff, as a totally hypothetical example. You go far. If you go into the air and start firing your 6 or 7 Mobius Quivers, you're going for a ride. Pray to God you don't also get stomped, or you're gone. You're absolutely gone. By firing multiple arrows at once, it should be a lot easier to blanket an area with traps in preparation for a fight, or to put burst damage on a boss. Alright. The Stylus Executioner aspect. Defeating a weakened, suppressed, or volatile target grants invisibility and true sight. After performing a Stylus Execution, your next melee attack while invisible weakens enemies. So, we kind of already have this with the middle tree. If you get a kill while tracking, yeah, you're always tracking. It's okay, kitty. If you get a kill while crouching, you're going to gain invisibility and true sight, which is badass. So now this is whenever you defeat any weakened, suppressed, or volatile target. That's huge. That's a lot. That sounds like a lot of uptime. And then your next melee attack while invisible weakens enemies. So we also do have that when you... I think, yeah, when you are invisible and have that true sight up and you go and melee anything, it does the sort of, like... melting point debuff, but it's like a crappier debuff. So this is just while you're invisible next melee attack. So that seems sort of largely the same, but like they said, they want to keep the ability to create current fantasies and expand upon them. So that's just one aspect. So it's cool to see some things that you already know and love and are still able to interact with those. And then a twist on the Middle Tree Night Stalker's current Flawless Execution perk. This aspect lets hunters specialize in defeating debuffed enemies and keep looping their invisibility. Okay, maybe I should like continue reading before expanding on each of these points, because yeah, Bungie just keeps reiterating what I've already told you. Yeah, it's taking what we already know, expanding upon it, and adding a gameplay loop, just keeping that invisibility up. So fun. Absolutely. The Sentinel Titan. Overwatch aspect. Oh, they're not going to talk about the super. Ooh. I wonder what that means. To be not... Because part of the Sentinel Titan is the bubble. The bubble is what makes it. So we don't know if there are going to be multiple options for supers, or if we're going to get like completely reduced to just one single super. So cast a Void Empowered Barricade to grant a Void Overshield to yourself and nearby allies. The Empowered Barricade slowly regenerates the Void Overshield of allies bunkering behind it. That's pretty cool. Like, that's just an aspect for casting your barricade. It's gonna give you it grants a Void Overshield. I guess that means it'll go down faster to void damage and nearby allies. And so you know, you could have a little bit of a pain point there in the old PvP place, with everybody just sitting behind a nice rally barricade or something like that, and just like, sure, it's only a knee-high protection, but the whole time you're behind it, you've got regenerating. I'm sure they're worried about balancing it, but some things do slip through, so it's okay to bring them up. Just cautionary tales, but that's awesome. Just bunch of overshields. We want players to be able to lean into the Sentinel fantasy of being the frontline protector for your team. So Overwatch is a powerful tool for setting up prior to an encounter and providing a safe haven to fall back to when things get spicy. Shield Toss, projectile melee. Oh! Ooh! You get to have that shield toss. Okay. Maybe the super will stay more bubble, but this will allow you to not completely be removed from those fantasies of the more mobile roaming super that you had with your Void Titan that allowed you to go full Captain America discus throwing everywhere. So we got a shield toss projectile melee. Hurl your shield towards an enemy. The shield can ricochet off enemies and surfaces, granting you a small chunk of Void Overshield for each enemy hit. Cool. All right. This will go great with the new backup plans that Titans just got. We want to give Titans more options when it comes to projectile melees. Yes, they have a hammer. Shield Toss is a great choice for aggressively pushing forward into groups of enemies, softening them up, and giving you extra staying power. Yeah, it's a great way to lead the fight. That sounds fun, 100%. All right, the Voidwalker Warlock. Pocket Singularity Projectile Melee. This is gonna be a little bit of a rip on the handheld Supernova, huh? Alright. Launch a tracking, unstable ball of void energy that detonates when it's near an enemy, pushing targets away from the blast and making them volatile. Ooh, it gives them a little boop? Okay. Sort of has a Leviathan's Breath effect. I wonder if it'll be as strong as that. And pair it with the new linear fusion rifle that we have this season, and just like yoink them in, throw your little grenade out, and push them right back out. They're not going to know where they are. Designed as an anti-dive tool and a way to push enemies out of cover. With careful placement, it's possible and incredibly satisfying to bop enemies up in the air and then pop their volatile with a well-placed headshot before they hit the ground. That does sound satisfying. We already have the Dustfield Grenades. Those grenades have been heavily nerfed. You can do... I feel like there's almost no point to using them, especially in PvP. Like... It's like, oh, I guess you decided to waste your grenade, and then the people just use their ability and leave. But this feels a little more useful because you're planning for just a single second effect, like a boop, and then you play off that. Whereas with the Duskfield, you're hoping to keep a target locked down, but it can't. It's good for PvE. It's not good for PvP. So I could see boops being more. I love boops. Booping everything that you can. Fun for PvP. I don't necessarily care about launching a group of Thrall up in the air and then exploding them when I can just, do that well with a chain reaction breach load grenade launcher. So we'll see. We'll see how that feels. The Child of the Old Gods aspect. Oh, that sounds warlocky. Cast your rift to summon a sentient black hole, which hovers at your side, waiting for a target. It will launch itself at enemies and then begin siphoning their energy and weakening them, refunding their life force back to you as either grenade and melee energy. Oh man, if you're using a healing... Oh yeah, okay, grenade or melee energy if you're using a healing rift, or health if you're using an empowering rift. Oh shit. Defeat an enemy who are being siphoned by the child Fucking weird. Okay. Who are being siphoned by the child will refund some rift energy. God damn. So you are literally just going to be using leech life on your enemies if you're going to use empowering rift in PvP. That sounds pretty badass. It's just as soon as I wonder if it's going to be as good as No Time to Explain. Because when you have that portal up, that thing is fast and accurate. It will catch a target before you ever will. If someone was to like Icarus dash across your screen, it would land shots and you probably wouldn't. So if it is that accurate and it's a and then you're all of a sudden have the child just siphoning their life force back to you? Ooh, boy. That's pretty wild. The Child of the Old Gods is a strong debuff tool that gives Warlocks an additional way to lock down an area while sustaining themselves. Hell yeah. And if that can combine with Devour? Holy shit. Oh my god. That sounds strong. That sounds wild, strong, fun. What they're doing to Warlock, if y'all have been, like, this looks like, if you felt neglected as a Warlock, because, I mean, face it, they kind of do get the short end of the stick most times. This is cool stuff. And y'all might have a bright future to look forward to. That's really exciting. We hope that this preview sparked your curiosity and gets you thinking about cool new Void builds. Have you ever wanted to run Spectral Blades and Vanishing Step? Ward of Dawn and Controlled Demolition? Handheld Supernova and Devour? God damn it! There are a lot of new possibilities. And as we get closer to the Witch Queen, we'll be back within a future TWAB to talk about the supers, fragments, and grenades you'll be mixing and matching. We're really excited about what we're cooking up, and we can't wait for you to get your hands on it. In the meantime, check out the ability balance update that we released with Season of the Lost in Destiny 2. Thank you for your time, and see you soon. And that's pretty much all it is. Get your Prime awards. Go if you don't have a Wardcliff coil, go get it for free. It's great for killing Gorgons in the Gorgon maze. Oh, and you'll need it if they take a while to fix the Triumph for the new Deadeye seal. If you take the Wardcliff coil into the into the Thrallway on the Shattered Throne dungeon and just absolutely demolish Thrall for a little while, it will create a background Triumph, and that will just automatically complete Deadeye for you. I think it will automatically complete Deadeye for you, or only complete the step like enough so that you don't need to complete the broken step currently. I haven't tested it. I don't think I care that much to. I mean, Deadeye is a great title. It's the Wayfarer of its time. Something that we're not going to lose planets. I mean, we're not going to lose archetypes. So this one can stick around. Unlike with Wayfarer, we lost planets. So Wayfarer had to go away. So this is now just, it's the player's title. You know, if you're here, but you don't have a team and you don't get to go into the big things and you really don't want to play Gambit and Guild that Dredgen, you've got a title. You've got something to work towards, and that's always great. It's fantastic to have. Even if you kind of look at Triumphs and go, that title, that might pique your curiosity. But yeah, that's cool. Already, just with what they decided to show us, like, really, really great. If this is the type of build diversity and just wild expansion we're going to get on our light subclasses, okay, sure, it's going to feel bad that we don't get a new type, but maybe considering what happened with Stasis, it might be better for them to take more time working on a new one than just getting it out the door right away. Because even though, you know, whatever, Stasis, sure, it was strong out of the gate, I wasn't weeping about it day in and day out. But I know what happened with the rest of the community. And oh my god, that was it was just like, it was unbearable. So rework the light subclasses, make those amazing, awesome. That sounds good to me. And you know how much expansiveness just Stasis gave us alone. So now we're going to get that expansiveness, 1 season for Void, 1 season for Solar, 1 season for Arc. Like, that's a lot. That is a lot of fun and build crafting and depth and hope. Oh man, if they make sure each season gives you appropriate artifact focusing, I do kind of hope that we kind of move away from artifact power level. I don't really... The going above and beyond, like rank 100 for plus 10, it isn't exciting. I think it's stayed its welcome. It has stayed its welcome with this year. Let's just cap artifact power. Going above and beyond, just the way that the game is limited where that matters, it's just not valuable or exciting, and just puts unnecessary stress on people to grind as hard as they can to get as high as they possibly can to be able to compete in activities with each other. Just bring the level requirements down to a spot that is naturally obtained through regular power, and like the plus 20, get plus 20 on your artifact. That triumph every season. Yes, I get over 200 on my season rank every season, but that freaking triumph, it's in the back of my head all the time, and every moment I'm not spent like grinding and making sure I get it done, I'm like, oh fuck, I hope I don't fuck it up and don't miss my opportunity. It's subconscious, and I'm not a fan of it. That's just me though. Maybe some people love it, but where are you using that boosted power? It came in for the first time ever. It actually mattered when it came to the Vault of Glass and Master Mode. So I mean, maybe they're going to want to really lean into that style of difficulty. And I guess now we have one area where we're going to need all that light level, but it's one place. All that work just for one activity, I don't feel like it fits well within the game. You can't have it in PvP. We saw how that worked out, and everything else is like capped to certain levels, and it has no effect. And with the power delta, you get so high above something, eventually you don't keep doing additional damage. I don't know if it feels right for Destiny going forward. So, but the mods, the artifact, that can still stay. And if we really lean into, like, with the Witch Queen, the first expansion, really lean into Void Fantasy mods to really take advantage of everything new that we're getting, and then a season with a bunch of solar mods, a season with a bunch of arc mods, that sounds fun. Maybe that'll suck for GMs, where you're like, well, shit, if I want to have a competitive chance, I don't know. GMs aren't too bad. And you can pretty much get away with doing almost whatever you want, with the exception of sometimes, invisibility is pretty clutch, and Bleak Watcher might not be around in the way it currently is forever. So, we'll see. Once again, our new icons there. Okay, if anyone, I'd suggest getting those. If you're into making thumbnails, having these, definitely handy. Definitely cool. Yeah, so if there are, like, obviously I'm not doing this live, so there's no true back and forth conversation happening right now. So I ask you, the viewer, what sort of crazy combinations have you been crafting in your mind with what we've learned today? What exotics are you thinking, oh my god, this is gonna be so freaking broken if I pair what I was told on the Overshield Titan with this exotic, like with no backup plans. I'm gonna have Overshield for days, like be unstoppable, or stuff like that. Throw some ideas down. Let's get talking. I know a lot of people, there are a lot of YouTubers that have grown so big that they'll say, hey, let's talk about it in the comments down below. And what that actually means is, hey, I just talked to you, and now you can all go bicker alone in the comments down below. If you're lucky, I'll click the like button on your comment. No, I want to hear. I want to hear from you, and I want to discuss it. So hit me up on Twitter, hit me up in the comments below. Let's actually talk. I want to talk to you. I actually want to engage with my viewership. I haven't gotten to the point where my viewership is so large that it's just completely negative all the time. So I'm still having fun. And if you want to feel like you're actually able to interact with a creator for once, instead of just speaking to the void and hope they notice you, hang out here. Hang out here. Anyway, that's all for now. Thanks for joining me on this TWAB talk. I hope you had a good time. I had a great time reading it and getting excited about it. I'm feeling great. And as always, remember, it's all just paint on the brush.